Hello, everybody. It's Mike Kilgore coming to you Sunday afternoon. Just hanging out a little bit this afternoon. And, we've had a good run at this, a couple of series, a couple of people that have spent some time with us over the last couple of weeks. And boy, I tell you, it's been kind of fun. And today we have Chris Onyika. And he's with Titanium Paver Sealing up in the Jacksonville area. And I met Chris probably about maybe 6 to 8 months ago, I assume. And ever since then, we did a job together, and he's joined in with us today from Jacksonville. How you doing today?
Good, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you joining in with us today and spending a little time. And it's just casual. I know I've got my shirt on, and I've got this really cool green screen behind me, but you saw me adjusting things. I actually have shorts on, after this.
They're
It's like that
reckless
commercial.
shorts.
Yeah.
This is not the
Yeah.
speed, I guess.
It's not a Speedo. It's not a glorious Speedo as you like to put up there, the
Majestic.
glorious magnificent Speedo, but this is supposed to be casual. It's supposed to be fun, but we just wanted to spend some time with you, and so appreciate you spending some time with us this evening.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. So
Cool, man. Well, I noticed your shirt.
yeah, got
Just
brand
got
new
those
shirts
huh?
in just from
Yeah,
72 Hour Print. So got those all designed up, got the master logo on there. So
good for you.
super stoked to get out there Monday or tomorrow, really, and show them off. So
Well, we're supposed to have some great weather over the next couple of days. We were supposed to do a training a little while back, but it's actually going to be this next week up
okay.
in that area up there. We're going to be doing a training, but you've got the certified master technicians, so congratulations on doing all the requirements to get that done with, and we're glad you have there and everything else like that. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where you came from, what shell did you come out from underneath, where what single celled organism did you derive from? So tell me a little bit more.
All right. I wasn't born in the States. My dad was Navy, so I was born in Newfoundland. So that's where I started my life around the sun, is up there. So, and then I moved to Iceland for about 8 years while my dad finished out his career. So my mom is half Icelandic, or my mom's Icelandic, so that makes me half Icelandic. So I'm half Viking. So
Mm.
that's cool. But either way, we moved to the States in the late 80s to northern Michigan, and then we moved to northern Indiana, South Bend, more specifically just for my dad, because moving jobs around. And that's where I joined the Navy at. And then I spent 22 years in the Navy. I retired as a chief. I was stationed up in Washington State, got a tour down here in Florida. I went to Chicago for 3 years. I was a boot camp instructor there. Then I volunteered to go to Afghanistan for a year. So I did a year there doing detainee operations. But oddly enough, while I was there, I got remissioned to train the Afghan National Army into taking over the detention facility in Afghanistan, the one that I worked at. And our task group was named Task Group Trident. So,
Really?
yeah.
How
So
about that?
it was really neat when I came on board, and I was like, Trident. Oh yeah, that's absolutely.
Yeah.
So it worked out. But I spent a year there. It was I think more tough for my wife Kristen for me being there than it was for me being there. It just sucked. We worked 16, 18-hour days, and every day for a year. So
Mm.
either way, left there, went back out to Washington State, and then left there and went to Michigan and recruited for the Navy for 3 years. So I get kind of a lot of my sales experience from that. And then from there, came back down to Florida, and I retired out of here. I was in part of VP8, Fighting Tigers, patrol squadron, and we spent 5 years or so with them, and then I retired as a chief, and then I moved into paver sealing. So, which was kind of a chance endeavor, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. when I
And
finally
I'm
got,
sure that paver sealing was like the first thing that you thought of, because
oh yeah, absolutely.
I've been to a couple of career days with my kids, and
Mhm.
usually it's not I want to be a paver
No,
sealer when I get older.
no, this was the farthest thing that was on my radar by any means. My neighbor actually introduced it to me, and then our mutual acquaintance that is down in Daytona. And I started out with Paver Sealing USA. I bought into that, and then ran that. But I was still active duty, so I was kind of doing what I could. So we had started the business in July of 20, and I left to go to Japan in October of that year. So I was home for 3 months. So I was trying to run a business from 8,000 miles away in Japan, along with my business partner. While I was gone, and trying to do that and run a business and keep it afloat, because I seen the value in it, and I seen that I could, this is something that I could do after I retire. It was, the money was there, learning a new trade was there, it appealed to me.
Mhm.
So I kept it going as much as I could. And then when I finally got home, 6, 7 months later, um, things started to kind of crumble. And the relationship with my business partner, who's actually my neighbor, um, that crumbled as well. So I had to, part ways. And, this is when I started titanium paver sealing,
Mhm.
which it took, you know, you met me as Paver Sealing USA, and then in
Right.
January, it switched to titanium, and I've been
Mhm.
running ever since January 1st as titanium paver sealing, because I just needed a fresh start. Needed, all new branding, all new business, something that I created on my own. And I tip my hat to, um, our acquaintance in Daytona and my neighbor, just for, bringing me into this, because I would never have seen, you know, what paver sealing can do for somebody's life. So,
Right.
and then I used Euroseal products, that whole time, and it
Mhm.
was a supply issue. And then there was like this, Euroseal was great, and then once we came into post COVID, kind of that whole, slump, I guess you would call it. Um, it just didn't seem like we were getting the same enhancement. We weren't getting the same anything. Um, that's when I started, looking for other products. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to break into, this whole new business venture, I need something that's solid and stable. And, kind of all my military training went back to that, because I'm like, I need something that I can rely on to move forward. And that's when I found you guys. And, there was no supply chain issue. There was no, there was nothing. And I just kind of jumped in it with both feet, and I was like, here we go. And here I am. I think August is my 1 year mark of using Trident products, and
Mhm.
I couldn't be happier. So, but that's essentially me in a nutshell. Don't let me forget though, I'm married, got 2 boys, 7 and 4.
And you got
They
a and you got a wife named Kristen, and so do
Yep.
I. So
Yeah. And it, yeah,
we've got great things in our lives, right?
we are besties
Yeah.
now. So.
Yeah. Oh, we're besties. Yeah. Or they're besties. They just
Yeah.
don't even know it yet,
No.
right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think at some point I was doing my walk this morning, and I thought, how great would it be to just, and it just create a reunion kind of style
Mhm.
thing, whether it be in Orlando or Jacksonville or, Miami or Tampa or something like that, where, the families get together for a day or for a weekend, and, we stay the night at a resort or something like that. And just whoever, wants to come and bring the family and bring the kids, and, we all get together and have a dinner, and just, bring the families together. Because, as we talked a little bit before we went onto this recording that was here, it really is truly a family that's been built out of this period of time, you know
It has, yeah.
and we were talking about the other people that are inside of the master certified technician world, and the inner circle that's there, and just those relationships that are built, that are there. So how do you see that your military history, because I talked to Sean, and I've got a couple other people that have come from military backgrounds that are going to be doing this also.
Mhm.
How do you see that that's helped you in your business? Because there's a lot of people in the either police officer or firemen or military that are in this business that are doing very successful. So there has to be some common traits that are taught from that would be beneficial for people to hear.
Yeah, and you know, the military is great because once you get past basic training and your schooling and all that stuff, you get out into the. I was Navy, so you get out into the fleet, or you get out to your first duty station. You're thrown in a room with 40 other guys and gals, and you don't know them, but you all have the same common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to get, in my field, I worked in aviation. I was a jet engine mechanic. You put me in a shop with 40 other mechanics, and our goal is to make sure that the engines are safe and, the pilots can go fly.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what our differences are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it kind of relates with most of the guys, especially the guys in the inner circle is, we all have the same common goal, and we don't mind helping the person that we barely even know.
Mm.
We don't mind it at all. Because we want to see them succeed. We want to see them, move further into their technical ability. And that's how it kind of correlates is, you get the law enforcement guys, you get the military guys, um, with that same mindset, because we all have the same common goal, and that's to go out and make beautiful looking pavers, and Trident gives us that ability, and inside of that we all have that mentality. It's like it doesn't matter that you're Joe Schmo off the street. It's just we share the same common interest, and that's what's taught or really learned, I guess, in the military and law enforcement. And I can't speak to law enforcement, but it's just kind of a trait that you learn as you go along. And most of us see eye to eye. I mean, Sean and I, when we went down to Orlando for that convention, I mean, him and I just connected like that. It was simple. We both spoke the same language. We both had the same mannerism. Everything was the same. So it was almost like just an immediate connection.
Mm.
So, and that's the same thing you get in the military, so that's kind of how it correlates between the two.
Yeah. Well, I see that the guys that are working in that have I stay in my lane to a degree, but yet I'm willing to help. We all have the same common goal.
Yep.
And I'm going down my lane. I do what I do, and if you need help, it's I've got your back mentality.
Exactly.
That type of relationship that's there. And so you've been to a couple of the trainings that we've done, and you've been to a couple of things that you've been to the trainings that you needed to go through and everything else like that. What are some of the things that you've done over the last year that you see differently than what you were doing prior? And what are you doing now that's helped you raise the game? I mean, obviously using Trident products is one thing, but what kind of advice do you give the new guy out there that's deciding, do I add this, or I'm using a different product but I'm not getting the results that I'm looking for, or I'm not getting the help or the support that I'm needing? What kind of guidance do you give in that scenario?
I mean, there's a common theme, and that's to go fast, you need to go slow. And that's
I love it.
yeah, but
Geez,
it's true.
I think I've heard that before. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like
maybe once or twice. Yeah.
you want to grow fast, slow down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it's common, but it's true though. It's so true. But when I first came into it, it was really an in and out business model. It was like, let's get in here, dollar a square, the cheapest stuff. I think my first paver sealing job that I did, we didn't even use any cleaners.
Yeah.
Like we just surface cleaned it, and then hosed it down, sanded it, and sealed it in like 4.5 hours. And it was like a 1,500 square foot driveway.
Mm.
And I was like, man, we're making so much money. This is great. No, that's, and what I've learned since then, I mean, really is, the process. There's got to be a process. And if I'm going to go out and I'm going to charge a customer, whatever people are charging, $1.25, $1.50, $1.70, or whatever they're charging, if you're going to provide a level of service and you're going to charge them a premium, then you need to offer them a premium service. So
Right.
if I tell you I'm going to come in, I'm going to use, the 1, 2, 3 knockout punch, I'm going to use that, but I'm going to explain to the customer why I do that. And
Right.
then I'm going to explain to the customer why I hydro compact the day before I seal. And then I tell the customer that I come back the next day and I touch up sand joints, and then I blow off the surface, and then I seal it. So if you're gonna go out there and tell somebody that you're gonna do something, then you got to do it. And before, it was just like, we need to finish this job, we need to get out of here before, um, before the sealant dries, so that the customer.
Oh, yeah. You need to. You can take. Well, take the car. You can. Never mind. I'm in the garage, as most people know, and my wife is like, "I gotta go. I gotta leave. I gotta go do something." And I'm like, "Well, I'm
I was
on
like,
doing a video." And I'm like, "Go ahead. Just open the garage door. Go for it." Right.
I was like watching
So
you, and I was like, did
I
he
was like, I
stop?
don't think he's paying any attention to me at
Yeah.
all. No, I am listening to you, but my wife evidently
Yeah.
has an emergency she has to go to. So,
Yeah.
as most people know, I'm actually doing this in my garage,
Mhm.
is where I'm at. So,
In your shorts. Yep.
yeah, in my shorts. Exactly. So,
Uh, but what I was saying is that, we were trying to get out of a job before the sealant dried, and we'd collect a check and we'd be out of there. And there was like, if somebody called, it was like, oh my God, no, like, there was no guarantee on the back end of that. There just wasn't. We would offer a warranty, but there was nothing behind that. And that bothered me, because I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to build a brand, and I'm in it to provide a level of service that customers just aren't seeing, and telling them and I think a lot of people see this, and when you go out and you bid a job and you quote people, they're already frustrated because they've already had 2, 3, 4 contractors come out to quote them, and they don't even receive a bid, or the processes are different, or their measurement is off, whatever it is. I mean, everybody's wheel is different, but uh, people are already frustrated in that process. And I tell them, I says, you're going to get my bid and my quote before I leave the end of your driveway.
right.
So, I offer a level of service that customers don't typically see. I'd say maybe half of them don't see that, or they're already frustrated and you're already walking up and they're already, agitated, almost, with the process of just trying to get their pavers sealed. So, and I sell, a decent amount of jobs that, keep us busy, or keep me busy, because I work alone. I don't have any employees. I do all this by myself. So Kristen, my wife, she answers the phone and she manages that aspect of it. Other than that, I'm in the truck Monday through Friday doing my thing. So,
Well, and you don't try to do a ton of jobs.
no.
It's like you said, even when I met you, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this job today, and I'm going to go clean the next job, and then I'm going to go home. I'm going to do that kind of process. And I touched on this on another interview that's there, and people are always trying to figure out how they can increase their price, but then after they increase their price, they're trying to figure out how to reduce their service.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're cleaning, sanding, and sealing at $1.25 a square foot, I'm gonna use this as an example, and you start utilizing the 1, 2, 3 punch process that cost 4 cents a square foot by the time you break it down,
Mm-hmm.
but now you're able to add it up to $1.45 or $1.50, and then you're able to add in the colored sand that's there, and it may cost a little bit more, right? But you're now able to generate it up to $1.50 to $1.60 to $1.65, right? Then What happens is after a period of time of going through that process, because you sold it, and each one of those have an actual value. But then what happens is people say, well, I don't think that I really need to do the 1, 2, 3. I can do the 3, or I can do the 2, 3, or I can
Yeah,
do the none of it at all. But yet I still want to keep my process. I still want to keep my price at 165. And not only do I see that, but I see it all day long. How far can I stretch this sealer? And even though Cat 5 can go a good distance, people are ultimately paying for sealer.
absolutely. Yeah,
They're not paying for the bleach. They're paying for the bleach. They're paying for that stuff. But at the end of the day, you are sealing those pavers. And you need to not be thinking about how far can I stretch it, but what value can I give to my customer?
exactly. I mean, when I go and I shoot sealing on a driveway or a pool deck or whatever, I can assure you that the customer is getting their value,
Right.
because I despise callbacks. I despise them. We had so many in the previous administration. Um, Callbacks are, one of those things, like right when somebody calls you back, it costs you $300 and you didn't even go anywhere
Instantly.
yet. Yeah, you're just
Well,
like, they're
and
gonna
and
figure out
not
next.
only is it the $300, but when you're by yourself,
Yeah.
the displacement of not being able to go do another job, maybe in the
Mhm.
summertime, no big deal, right? May not have as many jobs because it's raining every single day, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But here in April, which is going to be insane, April is going to be amazing for
Mhm.
everybody. You get a call back, they're not going to wait until the summertime to get it fixed. They want it fixed now.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
if you're not out doing another job because you're going and doing a callback, not only is it the money that it costs to be able to fix it, but the displacement of the job that you couldn't do because you're not there.
Yeah. So you're looking 300. I mean, we could add
Yeah, we
up.
could we could add it up, but it's expensive.
It is.
Yeah,
And
it's
so I despise callbacks, and I have to put down the amount of sealer that I feel that I'm going to tell a customer it's going to last 3 to 5 years. That sealant's going to last 3 to 5 years. I can guarantee it,
yeah.
and Trident tells me it's going to last 3 years. I'm going to tell a customer it's going to last 3 years. So I'm going to put down 3 years worth of sealant.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to skimp on that. I'm not going to try to dilute it down any further. I don't want to see you for another year until your maintenance cleaning.
Right.
And then I'm making money by going out to do your maintenance cleaning. So
Right.
I just, it, it pains me to see some of these jobs you go out to, and the customer's just defeated because the last guy that came out, with a 4 gallon a minute pressure washer, nothing against 4 gallon a minute pressure washers, but he came out and it's in the bed of his truck, and he had, whatever it is. And he basically just shot some sealant that he bought at Home Depot onto their pavers and was like, all right, man, you're good to go. Here's my $1,000 check, and off they go. And then the customers 2 months later is like, they all turned white, can't get a hold of the guy. And then I come out there, or, another paver sealing company comes out there, and they're like, why is this 3 times the amount of what I paid last time? It's like, because it was done wrong, you
Happened
know?
this morning. This morning, my neighbor across the street, he knows I seal pavers, but had a guy that came, put the pavers in. The guy said, hey, I'll make you a sweet deal. He went, he sprayed down, he sprayed some other sealer and stuff like that. And the sealer actually looks pretty good,
Mhm.
except for all of the areas that it's like a half-inch thick, because it's all puddled up because these are textured pavers. They
Oh
didn't
yeah.
blow it out. And so now we've got hazing. They didn't efflow clean new pavers. They didn't do all those different steps. And
Mhm.
I went to him today and he's like, so what do I got to do to fix this? I said, well, I got to call somebody in here to strip this, and it's going to be, $2 and something odd cents a square foot. He's like, man, I got like $1,700. I said, dude, you know what I do for a living. I live right across the street from you. Now I sealed his new pavers up in the front, and they look great. I mean, of course they look great. I sealed them. No, but we also, that was also a job that was interesting because when they were installing it, I got a hold of the install company and they installed the fieldstone sand at the time that they were doing the install. So when I showed up, all I had to do is do a
Perfect.
little bit of an acid wash, a little bit of point break, just do a rinse off of that. And all my sand was basically compacted into the joints that's there. So it looks great. But so now he's wanting to get it all completely stripped off and then have us come back and, strip that. Now, I did that as a training that was there, but I told him, I said, I'm going to, farm this off to one of my other, contractors in the area here to come and do that. And, oh, well, why can't, because I don't do that anymore, you know. But it's a prime example. Here's a neighbor that, you know, sees this and has been just it was bad. It just looked horrible. And I feel bad for him, but I was having this thought process of, you know, it's going to cost you more if and I think there's a misconception with it. Well, Miss Homeowner, if you don't use us and you use somebody else and they mess up your pavers, it's going to cost twice as much to be able to fix it. My question really is, and it's not even a question to you, but question in general, is how many people actually get it fixed?
Yeah.
Because someone comes in, the pavers haze over the top. How many people are actually, I think the true detriment in the industry is they're now going around and telling everyone in the world, they're not going to tell them, well, I made a mistake because I hired the wrong contractor. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, don't seal your pavers. Look what it did to my pavers.
Yeah.
And so you're getting more and more people out there that are getting scared to actually do it. Because, then it's like, well, you're going to call me and I'm going to charge you twice as much to fix it. No, you're not. You're going to charge what it was to fix it. You're not going to be that person going and say, well, I could fix it for $1.50, but because now you're calling me back, I'm going to charge you $5 to fix it. And I'm like, well, I'm going to find somebody else. No. That sounds good on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. But let's be honest. You're going to charge your same amount to fix it, whether or not you did. You're not going to have a vendetta against them.
No, there's no reason to. No.
There's no reason to. So, I see the banter going back and forth with that. So where do you see yourself kind of going? Where's your kind of plans? What's your kind of, is it growth? Is it just continue to do what you're doing? Where do you see yourself with this process?
I know we want to grow. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a ripe 25 years old and I just can't do this by myself forever. So at least my kids think I'm 25, but I'm really 41. But
I was gonna say, I don't think you're 25, but I was like, okay. I was like, I think you spent longer than that in the military, unless you signed up when you were 5. But I was like, maybe I heard him wrong.
Right out of the womb.
Yeah, they think you're 25. I get it.
But I know I want to grow. It's just finding the right time to do it. And I know a lot of people that have grown that, are just like, hey man, you just got to like jump in and go with it. And, I've had bad experiences with employees in the past and they weren't trained right. And I know I would train them right. It's just, obviously money rules everything, so you've got to build a nice nest egg, which is where we're at right now. We're building and building and building to get to that point to grow. And I would like to, have 3 or 4 trucks running around Jacksonville. There's plenty of business up here, and there's plenty of business all over Florida, really. I mean, if you Google Jacksonville paver sealing, there's like 40 companies. Now, are they all doing the same amount of volume as, myself or, the Gary Hampton, are they doing those same, types of volume? No, they're doing paver sealing on the side or whatever it is. There's not, a huge outfit of paver sealing trucks running around Jacksonville, and it's a huge metro area. So, but plus you got St. Augustine, you've got Green Cove Springs, Middleburg. I service Nassau County, Florida, down to St. Johns County, Florida, over to Clay County and all of Duval. So I've got a far stretch. Now that's an hour and a half ride in some in some instances,
Right.
but I would like to grow and move into more trucks, and just being able to get to that point where we're doing 10,000 square a week, and then moving up from there. That's because right now we're averaging probably about 4 by myself, and I'm like, if I could just find somebody like me that can do it by themselves, you can grow pretty fast. So, because I know a lot of guys run 2 guys on their trucks or whatever it is. I mean, you really don't need it. You just one guy, that's trained really well. And if you focus all of your energy and into one person instead of 2 people, because if you pay 2 people $15 an hour or one guy $30 an hour, what kind of output are you going to get out of those $15 an hour guys, vice the $30 an hour guy? So I'd rather pay a guy $30 an hour to go run a truck by himself, because he's going to earn that money, but he's going to have the right skill set and the right training and the right foundation before he or she is allowed to go run a truck by themselves. So growing is great. I just think it needs to be at a pace that you can handle, because you don't want to grow too fast, and then next thing you know, you're like, you don't know what's coming next. So I want to be able to comfortably grow. So that's what I see ourselves in the next probably year or so, is to grow like that and start kind of just adding on, and then maybe adding some other services, soft washing or whatever. But I started out in paver sealing. I didn't do any pressure washing. I didn't do roof washing. I didn't do nothing.
As a matter of fact, that's how I started.
Yeah,
I started paver sealing. I started making sealer. And then it was like what? And I really had no idea really what I was doing. I was making a sealer, making a pregnating sealer, and then got into the pressure washing. And then I had to learn to pressure wash to then learn how to really properly seal, because I was just doing concrete at that point. So it was completely backwards how I kind of came about. But you touched on a couple of things. Obviously, if you want to grow fast, slow down, right? And the other is that the need dictates the want doesn't dictate the need.
Exactly. Yeah.
And too many people in this industry are ruled by the want, not the need. And they want the big truck, they want the big machines, they want the big things, and they think that by buying the 2 8-gallon a minute machines and the F350 and the box truck and all those different things, that it will allow them to get the work later. It needs to be the other way around. You've got to get the work and then fit the machine and the system into the need that is there, not the want.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of guilty of that, because you've seen my truck.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good 10-gallon a minute machine like anybody else, right? Yeah.
So, and that's the plan on this truck, is to Siamese the 2 motors together, because the truck was set up for 2 guys to run on the truck. So dual pressure washers, 250-gallon tank. It's got a hose that could reach to the moon to get water from, and obviously 2 hoses to run, so you could run a pool and a driveway at the same time. With 2 skilled guys, you could knock out some jobs with the truck. But obviously it's just me. So it's a little bit much. So I'm like, well, what can I do to maximize what's on this truck that I already have? And I was like, well, we could just Siamese the motors together, Chris. Let's do that. So, and next I'm at 16 gallons a minute, and I'm killing it. With obviously you need bigger hose and all that other stuff, so you've got to grow right. And I've just in the past probably 3 to 4 months have really started drilling down and reading about uh, how the machines work, and how, what kind of tips should you be using, and everything. There's so much to learn. There's so much more to learn other than just flipping the motor on, or flipping the switch on the motor, and water comes out and I'm like, all right, I'm pressure washing. No, there's so much more to it, and it's fascinating, it's interesting, and I love learning about it. And once you get tipped right, and once your motors and your equipment is all set up right, and you are running at max efficiency, because really this job is about efficiency. How
So
good can
true.
you do the job in this amount of time? So, and that's where I want to be at. I want to be at max efficiency. So I guess that
And
we
I
can add that to the, in the next,
the equation.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think I probably should back up and say that, even though I was talking about machines and talking about that, I think that probably where that story should end up at is adding other people to the equation.
Mhm.
um I believe that machines that when you get going and you're moving, then it should be moved into a process of efficiency. Maybe at that point when you first started, a 4 gallon a minute machine worked out well for you, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm actually going to do I did a ceiling job a long time ago, probably about a year and a half ago, with a 1,250 psi electric pressure washer that was 1.25 gallons per minute. Did a driveway, cleaned it, sanded it,
Mhm.
sealed it with a pump up sprayer. Now it took me 3 days to do it, right? And it was
Yeah.
it was 750 square feet, but I did it, right? I'm actually going to do one not too long from now that I'm going to do it with a water hose. People are going to be like, what?
Okay.
Right? The whole and it blows everybody's mind. But the idea is that the machines are there for our efficiency. They're for us to run a business, right?
Mhm.
You can't go and do 10,000 square feet with a water hose and
No,
running off of a house,
no.
a week. You're not going to be
Yeah.
able to do that and
Yeah.
be able to do the volume that you need to be able to sustain a business, right? Now, you could probably do some beer money, right? But to
True.
sustain a business, you have to have these machines in place to give you the efficiency to be able to move into it. But ultimately, the idea is that you have to move from the position of saying, I want to work in the business to on the business.
Mhm.
And if I've seen it once, and I was guilty of it, hey, you hire an employee, they go out, they seal their first job, they come back with their first $1,200 paycheck. And that morning you may have came into work around 11 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, and you go, wow, look at this. They went out and they made me money, right? And
Mhm.
then it's, well, maybe I'll go and have breakfast this morning and let them go do the work, right? And we fall into traps. I've put in my time, I've put in my effort, but that really doesn't happen. And hopefully it never does. It shouldn't happen, because you're supposed to change that mindset from I'm working in the business to working on the business. I should be working just as hard to making sure that my employees are as efficient and have everything that they need to be productive.
Mhm.
And it's not until they become stabilized that you're able to get to that financial freedom and business freedom that you kind of started as an entrepreneur at the beginning to become. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does. And
You know,
I, I go back to the time that we did have employees. I couldn't be there. And I have a strong leadership background. I mean, I did 22 years in the Navy, and a lot of it was senior leadership. Um, a lot of it's task and purpose. What's the task? What's the purpose?
mm,
Um, and with all my sailors, I used to ask, like, my junior sailors, I would ask them, like, why are you trying to get that qualification? And it would just, like, it would floor them every single time I would ask them, because they're like, why is he asking me, why do I want this qualification? It's like, because I need this qualification to make rank. I'm like, cool, yeah, everybody else does. But why do you want it?
right.
And it never dawned on them on why they wanted it. They were getting it because they want, somebody told them they had to do it. So my my task as a leader was really just, giving people ownership of, what they were doing, and giving them ownership and getting that qualification, or getting, ownership and, whatever it was, because people were just kind of running around doing this, checking the box, and then on to the next thing. And I'm like, no, like there's got to be a purpose behind this. There's got to be some type of ownership, because if I can create ownership in something through somebody else, then they're going to value that more. And that's where I was not able to do with the employees we had in the past. I couldn't get in there and work with them on the job because I was in Japan. There was no way I could do it. So I would have messages, with them, text messages and, phone calls of, every so often, but everything was relied back on my business partner back in the States. And that training and just wasn't there. So I could never really mold an employee that we had in the past to my level that I wanted them to be at. So I know moving forward, that's what I'll be able to do, because you can't let off the gas, because there's only one direction, and that's forward. So you got to keep moving forward, and, whatever that is, and especially working with the business or working on the business, it's two different things, but both of them feed each other.
Well, that's some very, deep, valuable, stuff, but, a lot of people don't have that type of conversation, that real conversation with themselves of, money and processes and those things really, as you get older, you start realizing that you don't have to, hunt it and kill it every single day. I just posted up a video inside the inner circle and about the difference between burnout and elite performance. And it was put together by a friend of mine that I just recently met, and talked about optimal performance and burnout. And it's very easy to see how people can get burned out in this, and it's a direct correlation of obstacles that are into place. And our job as leaders is to help alleviate those obstacles in our employees, in our friends, in our family, in our lives. This is who we are as leaders, to reduce those obstacles so that they can perform at an optimal level.
Exactly.
And, when we see an employee that is struggling because, they didn't pull out the rope right, or the hose right, or they, forgot this, or they forgot that, or, they didn't rinse it off a certain way, or they didn't clean off the sand in a certain way and stuff. It's our jobs as leaders to say, these are obstacles that are in the way. If we do not eliminate those obstacles, just by training them is one thing, but if we don't eliminate those obstacles, we're not going to get high efficiency out of and performance out of those people, because burnout happens, which I just learned. So I'm not acting like I stole this or anything, but I just kind of learned this, is burnout is that when performance and obstacles are very close to each other. High performance is when the obstacles are reduced and performance can go through the roof.
And
So
there's got to be a time frame for that to happen, because we lost employees at like 3 months. Every 3 months.
I'm not saying that it's an overnight kind of thing.
No. You bring it up, and as you were talking, I was thinking about it. I was like, man, we lost employees about every 3 months. They would just kind of quit because they got to a point where they were frustrated. They were frustrated. They weren't getting the help that they needed. It was in a very, I just won't go there.
I get it. I'm just saying, but let's look at the employees themselves, not the the outside of it. And sometimes there are things that are outside of our control that we don't have the resources available to be able to provide them the things that they want. I mean, yes, I'd love to give everybody, gold plated pressure washing wands, right? But, a regular pressure washing wand would work well.
Mhm.
But if you're giving these guys and expecting them to be, extremely efficient, and they've got to take a nipple off of the gun, shut off the machine because there's no ball valve that's there, and then they've got to take the nipple off of a gun and put it onto a pressure washer because they don't have two nipples to be able to
Yeah.
use. And, at what point are you, everyone wants to be efficient ultimately,
Mhm.
but, burnout happens when those pieces are in place. And it's our jobs as leaders and as owners of businesses to identify those pain points and figure out how to alleviate them. Some things are just going to suck
Yeah.
in our business.
It happens.
Dry sanding in August when it's 110 degrees
So,
sucks. I mean, there's
I'm
just
out there
no,
with I'm out there with the ball valve looking like J-Lo. I'm just
just
trying to spray myself down.
I mean, when you said ball valve, I was thinking J Lo when I was looking at you. That was the first thing that crossed my mind, you know. But so tell me, just because I could do this for hours on end, and I'm
Me
sure
too.
some people would fall asleep. But I love having these types of conversations, and these are the types of conversations I want to have whether or not we're recording this or not. Like,
Yeah.
these are the types of conversations I feel like I'm just sitting here talking to you, right?
Yeah, same here.
And so what would you how would you describe, because ultimately, the reason we're doing this is because we want people to find their way to Trident. And what's your experience? I'm just going to leave that as an open-ended question of, what's your experience with Trident, and what did you think going in, and what have you gotten, and just open-ended, what's your
Uh,
thoughts?
I mean, I touched on it earlier. Obviously, supply chain was a big thing for me because I used Euroseal, and you just couldn't buy stuff anywhere. Like, and if you did want to buy it, you had to buy a pallet, and I'm like, I don't have $10,000 to give you. So, but all that aside, I mean, the full experience was, from the time that I submitted the request on the website, and Danielle called me, and she's like, we had a conversation, and then you and I had a conversation, and then it was really just kind of open arms. It really was. There was no, finding out me. It was just like, hey, we got a guy that wants to use our products, and then we set up everything from there, from that, the Trident tune up, which was great, and it blew me away actually when I was there, because you came out to, it was just a small little driveway, and
I remember it.
yeah. But what blew me away was all the Sherwin-Williams reps showed up too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually really floored by that, because not only you came out, but the Sherwin-Williams reps came out to meet me,
Mm-hmm.
to really, create that face-to-face. And that meant a lot to me. And I was like, you know what, if Trident, Mike and Trident and Danielle care so much, that I meet all these people that are going to be handling, essentially the livelihood of my business, I need to give them everything. So, and then I signed up for the, the training back down in January down in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And, Kristen was probably get tired of me talking about it, because I was so excited to go down there. And that, and it's Tampa, so,
Right.
but, going down there and being able to meet all these people that were in the Trident group in person, and all of us having that same, common goal. And, we all just kind of spoke the same language. And, you guys were, the organizer of that, all the way down to the product. The product it's so easy to use. It really is. Like there's a process. And if you follow the process, it's so easy a caveman could do it, really, honestly.
Love it. I don't know if Geico would love it that I
No,
took it,
no,
but I think
hopefully.
I'm not going to go down that road. But you're right.
Um, it's, it really has, given me the ability to begin that growth, just being part of the family, that initial part of the family, and then learning the process, which, is, like I said, was easy. But it's giving me that ability to grow because I know that I can get the product and I know I have the support when I need it. And I just talked to Danielle on the phone, last week or the week before, because I was like, hey, I need all this stuff for these, permeated pavers. And, she's like, okay, I got a pallet of it, where can we get it to you? It was just like, there was no question, it was like, all right, we got it, we can get it to you, but, just, it's really all encompassing. There's so much to say, and I could probably be here for an hour talking about it. But I just love the stuff. I really do. Like, I post on my business Facebook page every single time. I'm like, I put the Trident symbol in there, and I put in that I put, Trident Cat 5 down, because I tell all my customers I use Trident Cat 5, and I give them the website and brochures and everything else, because I just love this stuff. Like it's user friendly. And it's just a great product. It really is. And a lot of people might watch this video and be like, oh, this guy's just, trying to, no, I'm not really, I'm not. It's just,
yeah, first of all, this is not a paid
no
scenario at all. Right. But this is real talk,
and
that's what this is what this is all about. And when I originally started using Cat 5, I was in the same boat that everybody else was in. I called Brad and John and said, I don't know about this. I really don't know. When we started going through everything, I was skeptical about the whole thing because it was completely different. And when we sat down and talked about how we're going to go about this differently, the support, the education, the training, the supply, all those pieces, it wasn't like all of a sudden, we're going to react to what's out into the market and say, hey, we got this new product, here it is. And it's an answer to something. It's not an answer to something. What it was doing was filling in the gaps of things that weren't there.
Yeah.
And that's what we strived on, was the ultimate in customer service, education, training, support, those types of things. And a lot of that sounds so very cliche, right? Oh, we have the best education and the training and the support and that's easy to say, right? But it's not easy to follow up with.
No, and it's all there, honestly.
And have people fallen through the gaps? Yes. Of course there is. When you're moving into a high volume scenario, there's going to be some people that are going to look at this and go, yeah, well, I left a message for that dude 6 months ago, right? And he never called me back. Call me again.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
At what point is that not my fault? Right. I usually get back to everybody. I'm usually pretty daggum good at it. You call me, you're going to get a call back. Right. That doesn't mean everybody call me right now. Right. But
it's like, everybody call Mike.
Yeah. Tell me about, and we'll kind of, unless there's some other things that you want to talk about here, but you were talking before we started recording this conversation about how the master certified logo and that kind of that story about the guy that you were telling me about, how it helped you close a deal.
Mm-hmm. I went out, I actually got an email from a guy. And in the email, you can kind of read a customer. You can.
He said he was in the hospital and he was going to wire you the information. That guy?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah. So, but he was very technical in his email about his pavers. He knew exactly how many pavers he had. He has got concrete that needs sealed. He's got coquina on the side of the house that needs sealed. And he's got textured pavers that need sealed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He told me what the other old brand was that was used, everything down to all the technical details. And I was like, all right, so if I'm, going to put my salesman hat on right now, how do I approach him? So, my response to him was everything that I knew about Trident. And then I told him that I was master certified by Trident themselves. And I gave him the phone number to Trident and Danielle's name. And I was like, you can call them and verify that I've, created completed this training and prove my claim. And I went out to the bid the next day, and he loved everything about it and sold the job. And he's on the books. So knowing your customer is paramount, because a lot of people, you may go out to a bid and they're just kind of like, all right, yeah, just give me a quote and move on. You're like, all right, well, I detail everything in the quote, but with him, I knew that I had to talk to him in a certain way. But it's not the first time I've used the fact that I'm master certified by Trident. So I've told people in the past, and I send out emails and I tell them I'm master certified, and I'm not afraid to give them the phone number and to tell them to call you guys, because I went through the training, I got the qualification to do it, and I go by their process and take it or leave it.
Right.
So
well, and it's a process, and as it's not just about going and doing one class and being done with it. It's a process. Chris had to do a live in-person training, had to do an online training, and then do the master training that was down in Florida, in Tampa. Sorry, obviously in Florida.
We're in Florida.
We're in Florida. Yeah, welcome. Well, hello. But it's and I've said this in each one of those videos. It's not about you don't go to UF, and you don't go to Florida State, and you don't go to Miami, and you don't go to Nebraska or wherever college that you go to, Division I college or whatever college it is, and go to the first semester and get a degree. There is a sacrifice that goes through this. So there is a step to being a master certified technician. It's not just a certified technician. It's a master certified technician. He's done plenty of jobs. He's gone to it. Not only has he done the online training, done the live training, done the master training, but also committed to using only Trident products. It's the Yellowstone badge on your chest kind of thing. And as he said, the way in which he shows his loyalty to Trident is that when he posts his stuff on Facebook, he's saying, look, and I know I'm talking kind of in third person here, but we use Trident. We want our customers to understand this is the product that we use. And if they have a question about the product, they should be able to call and talk to Danielle. They should be able to talk to Mike and ask questions. Now, I'm not going to go in and they're not going to say, well, how much does this product cost? We're not going to tell them those things. That's not their business. Our business is to ensure them that the product and the person that has done the training is able to provide the highest quality and optimal service that they are paying the highest amount of money for. That
Agreed.
was,
yes,
and that's going to allow you as a contractor, even if other people are in the same area using the same product, you're going to have to be able to separate yourself from those people because of the amount of training and commitment that you made. And, we couldn't be happier. I speak for, myself. I speak for Danielle, even though Danielle can very well speak for herself, right?
Yes, we all know that. Yes.
Everybody loves a good Danielle. And I know we joke around Danielle, but I tell you what, she's a firecracker, but we love her to death, right? She gets it done. And she's beyond passionate about what she does. And, we're very thankful for the time that she puts in. I mean, I watch her on that Facebook group sometimes 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, answering questions. She doesn't get paid to do that. She does it because she loves it. We do it because we love it. We do it because we want to help. Right. So, well, again, we're very happy. And anything else you want to throw in there?
No, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we could talk much longer, but
yeah. I think we covered some really cool stuff, though.
We really did have good conversation, and I enjoyed it. And I've been looking forward to this. My wife's been looking forward to this moment, and and I was telling you before that, we sit down and watch these videos, and it's really fun to see and meet, and really kind of connect on a personal level with all the other contractors out there, that are in the inner circle. And we just love it, and I love it. And I just enjoy
and as people join in, we have about another 15 to 20 of these, I believe, that I'm going to be doing. Not everybody wanted to do this. I get that. It's not in their in their wheelhouse to want to do this, but we've got about another 15 people that are going to be doing this. But as people become master certified, and they become into that inner circle Trident family that's there, after about 6 months or a year, we're going to do an interview with them. I don't want to do it right when they first join in, because I need them to kind of go through it and really experience that process. But we're going to build a good family. We're going to build a good base. We're going to build a good, strong foundation. And we're excited about, what's getting ready to happen in, this next year. And, supply chain issues are, looking really, really good right now. I, got some emails and some things that came in, and, we're going to do some really good stuff out there. So,
I'm excited to see. I really am.
So, well, good. Well, I guess I'm going to kind of wrap this up here a little bit, but thank you again, Chris. Really appreciate the time and of course, thank you, Kristen, in the background. I know you're back in there for letting us have about an hour of time in the evening, but we know that behind every great man is a fantastic woman, and my Kristen, came outside earlier and she had to go and do something that's there. So, but behind every great man is a fantastic woman, in my case, and in your case. We're not going down that road.
Nope.
But no, not doing that, but in my case, that's where we're at. So thank you guys for tuning in again. I'm going to stay on with Chris after we finish this recording for a little bit. And again, if you have any questions or anything else like that, we're going to post this up in a couple of the groups. Post your question inside of them. I'm going to tag Chris. He'll be able to answer your questions inside there. In the meantime, everybody, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys coming out. We want to say thank you with our new gang symbol here. That's the new, there it is right there. That's the new gang symbol, right? That's the Trident, I guess. That was what was given to me there, the Trident signal, right?
So we can go with that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was kind of goofy. It's kind of fun. But thank you guys for anybody that has tuned in here. If you have any questions, give us a call. The number is 866-951-4293. And of course, you can always visit us on the website, which is tridentprotects.com. And of course, come into our Facebook group, which is Trident Protects Contractors Only. So just go to Facebook, look for Trident Protects Contractors Only, click join, and we'd love for you guys to come join in the group. So everybody have a great evening. Thank you, Chris, and we will talk to you guys soon.